Okay, so XRP just got fast-tracked, and honestly, I don't think anyone can argue with this anymore. I dropped a video yesterday talking about how a firm just changed an important SEC filing, and what does that mean? It means we're looking at the first ever spot XRP ETF in the United States going live on November 13th. Maybe even sooner if the government shutdown stops. The chances of it getting delayed past that date? Super low, like really low. So we can be pretty confident this is happening. I mean, we can't say 100% for absolute certain, but we're talking 99% here. And here's the thing. We now have even more reasons to believe it's real. Check this out. I'm looking at a headline here from Coinpedia, and it says, XRP ETF launch could happen this November after Bitwise SEC filing. So get this, another major player in the crypto space, XRP, just changed their filing too. This is big. All right, so before we go any further, let me make sure everyone's caught up here. I'm going to do a quick recap, kind of set the table for you. Because if you miss this news, you're going to need this context. Otherwise, the rest of what I'm about to tell you won't make much sense. So here's an article from Crypto in America. It's written by Eleanor Tarrant. She used to work at Fox Business Network, so she knows her stuff. The piece is called, Will XRP be the next crypto ETF to hit Wall Street? We're just going to touch on this real quick, and then we'll dive into the new stuff, but here's what it says. Canary Capital's XRP Spot ETF could be the next crypto fund to hit Wall Street, following an amended S-1 filed last Friday. The filing, quietly modified on October 24th, removes the delaying amendment that gives the SEC discretion over when the registration becomes effective, clearing the way for a potential November 13th launch, assuming NASDAQ approves the crucial 8A to allow it to list. Okay, so first off, props to whoever reported this. They handled it really responsibly. But here's my take, and this is just me being totally honest with you. NASDAQ approving this? Yeah, that's basically a done deal. I'd bet money on it. Like, I'm as certain about this as I am about anything. But here's where it gets juicy. So this article dropped yesterday, right? And everyone's talking about it now. But get this. The info was actually sitting out there in the open since October 24th. Can you believe that? It was just hiding in plain sight, and nobody spotted it for an entire week. I mean, how did we all miss this? This is the kind of detail that makes you go, wait, what? It's like finding a $20 bill in your coat pocket. This little nugget was just waiting there for someone to notice it. So major shout out to Eleanor Tarrant for digging this up and getting the word out. Seriously, she's the one who caught this. All right, so here's the thing with this delaying amendment being removed. Canary Capital filed for a Spot XRP ETF. And now that this amendment is gone, unless the SEC actually steps in and blocks it, and they'd have to actively do that, this Spot XRP ETF is going live automatically on November 13th. That's the bombshell right there. That's why everyone's freaking out about this. I was pumped to break this down in yesterday's video when I covered it. Now, there's a chance it could happen even sooner if the government shutdown wraps up. But honestly, I wouldn't hold my breath on it getting pushed back further than November 13th. That seems pretty unlikely at this point. So Paul Atkins is the new SEC chair, right? He took over from Gary Gensler, who, let's just say, wasn't exactly crypto's best friend. Some people had some pretty colorful names for him during his time there. But Paul Atkins, totally different story. Check out what he posted yesterday. He's clearly on board with this whole approach of removing the delaying amendment. And get this, just a few days ago he wrote, with yesterday's listing of MapLight, the IPO market is still open for business. Companies are going public during the government shutdown using the method Congress originally intended. So you might be sitting there thinking, okay, wait, if you can just file this thing and it automatically goes live without doing anything else, isn't that actually better than filing it in a way where the SEC has to give you the thumbs up? Well, that's a great question. And the answer is, it depends on how you look at it. Here's the thing, though. It became standard practice to file in a way that requires the SEC to approve it. Why? Because when the SEC is actually friendly and on your side, you want them involved. You want that relationship. But if you file with no delaying amendment, you're basically saying, we're not even going to talk to you. There's no back and forth, no conversation, no working together with the SEC. And sure, technically they can still stop it either way. But here's the catch. They're way more likely to block you if you're not even trying to engage with them. That's the real risk here. That's exactly why if you're a business trying to file for an ETF, you're thinking, yeah, let's play nice with the SEC. You don't want to end up on their bad side, right? It's almost like being scared of getting put on the enemies list back in second grade. I know that sounds silly, but that's genuinely a huge part of why companies have been doing it this way. But now, with Paul Atkins running the SEC, he's basically saying, no, hold on. This is actually how Congress intended it to work. This is the way it should be done. So we're basically watching the rules get rewritten in real time. Pretty damn cool, right? That's why Canary Capital, and by the way, they were the first ones to do this for XRP. They filed on the 24th. That's why I keep hammering on this November 13th date. When this thing drops, it's going live either on that exact date, or if the government shutdown wraps up before then, it could actually happen sooner, like genuinely sooner. But here's the thing, Canary's not alone in this. So check this out. Here's the headline that just dropped from Coinpedia. XRP ETF launch could happen this November after Bitwise SEC filing. So as I walk you through this, you're going to see that other firms have been watching what Canary did, and they're like, wait, we can do that too? Canary was the first mover on this whole thing for XRP specifically. And actually, I covered this in a video maybe 2 or 3 days ago. They'd already done this for other coins. We're talking HBAR, Solana, Litecoin. Those already went live because the delaying amendment got removed for them. But XRP? That hadn't happened yet. So now other firms are basically copying Canary's playbook. Canary filed with the SEC on October 24th, and everyone else is watching like, okay, let's see how this plays out for them first. All right, so let me read you what this article says. The long-awaited XRP exchange-traded fund from Bitwise could soon become a reality. Bitwise, the $15 billion asset management giant, just submitted Amendment Number 4 to its XRP ETF filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, revealing 2 crucial details. Experts believe such updates usually signal the final step before approval. If cleared by the SEC, the XRP ETF could go live within just 20 days. Okay, so get this. They just filed yesterday. That's a full week after Canary filed. They're playing catch-up here, which means we're looking at a November 20th launch date if everything goes through. Now, here's what makes this really interesting. This is a major firm. We're not talking about some small player taking a gamble. They've looked at the landscape and said, yep, this is how we're doing it. Tom, and you know what Paul Atkins said? He literally said, this is the proper way to approach an ETF filing. Not just for crypto, mind you. He's talking about ETFs across the board. That's his official stance on how these things should be done. So when I see this, I'm pumped. Like genuinely excited because this thing is about to happen. Now, if you hold XRP, here's why you should care. These ETFs aren't some paper product where they're just tracking the price. These funds have to buy and hold real XRP, actual tokens. So when money flows into these ETFs, that means actual XRP getting purchased off the market. Okay, so here's the thing. This actually changes the supply and demand game for XRP in a real way. Now sure, you'll see some movement in the short term. That's going to happen. But honestly, I'm way more pumped about where this takes us over the next few years, even decades. Look, I've been saying this for a while now, and I stand by it. The amount of capital that's going to pour into XRP because of this, we can't even put a number on it. But trust me, it's massive. We're talking about investors who wouldn't have touched this space before. These are people who were sitting on the sidelines, and now they're coming in. That's what gets me excited. Anyway, he wrote, October 31st, Bitwise filed an Amendment Number 4 with the SEC to update its S-1 form. The latest updated document includes 2 crucial details. First, the listing venue will be the New York Stock Exchange. And second, the management fee will be 0.34%. So there you have it. XRP is heading to the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, think about that for a second. XRP on Wall Street. Now obviously when people buy in, they're getting the ETF itself. But that ETF is backed by real XRP sitting there. So yeah, we're talking about XRP making its Wall Street debut. And check this out. Eric Balchunas, he's a senior ETF analyst over at Bloomberg, thinks this filing from Bitwise is huge. Like, this could be the moment XRP really breaks into traditional finance. And he said, quote, adding the NYSE and fee means Bitwise checked nearly all boxes, end quote. Okay, so let me just say something about Eric Balchunas real quick. Nothing against the guy, he's not out here trolling XRP or anything like that. But from what I've seen in his posts, he's not exactly an XRP fan. Like, he just doesn't like it. That's the vibe I get anyway. But you know what? At least he's being honest about what's actually happening here. He's calling it like he sees it. Yeah, this thing is moving forward. So I can respect that. Maybe he doesn't have full-blown XRP derangement syndrome. He just doesn't like XRP. Which, hey, that just makes him wrong instead of a troll. I'll take it. Anyway, the article goes on and says, historically, once issuers include exchange and fee details in their S1 forms, it usually means they're waiting for the final green light from the SEC. Now here's the thing. In this case, we're not sitting around waiting for the SEC to do anything. Bitwise isn't waiting anymore. All right, check this out. This is the part you need to see, right here. This is straight from the SEC's website, an actual official document. This is what matters, and this is specifically for Bitwise. Look at the bottom left of your screen. It says, this registration statement shall hereafter become effective in accordance with the provisions of Section 8A of the Securities Act of 1933. Okay, so what does that mean? That section they're referencing? That's where the 20-day timer lives. So when you see that sentence right there, it's basically saying, yep, you've got 20 days, and then boom, it goes live automatically. No more waiting, no more approvals, it just happens. That's what that sentence means. It's baked right into it. So here's the timeline. You're going to have Canary by November 13th. I'm like 99% sure on that. And then about a week after that, Bitwise rolls out. Look, here's the thing. If the government shutdown wraps up, both of them could get approved. We're talking same-day approvals, people. Could be tomorrow. Could be 2 days, 3, 4 days out. Honestly, I have no idea. Nobody does. But my point is this could happen way faster than anyone expects. Pretty exciting stuff, right? I mean, I think so. XRP just jumped to the front of the line. This is happening. It's actually real now. And can we talk about the timing for a second? Because I was sitting here hoping we'd already be in full alt season by now. We're not. So this approval landing right now, that's some crazy good timing if you ask me. Quick pause here though. I need to say this. I'm not a financial advisor. Don't go buying or selling anything just because I mentioned it in this video. Seriously, that would be a terrible, terrible, terrible decision on your part.